What's new in Sims 2 for DOS? Lots. We have automatic emailing on reception of a signal. This action allows offloading of such problem areas as cumbersome client notification on latchkey child entries and exits. And for dealers, this new capability allows email notification on events that can include supervisory, panel troubles, power failures, and restores. Technician panel testing can go directly to the technician's cell phone or PDA. Sims has also introduced a new mnemonic modifier for when accounts are open rather than just by a schedule. An alternate backup account has also been added for those areas requiring the association between three different panels. Sims now has implemented DNS support for SureGuard, Radionics, and the Osborne Hoffman 2000, thereby allowing most central stations to reduce the number of actual phone lines required for customer panel support. Sims now has options for new features such as forced ordered contacts, which now forces contacts to be called in order and is selectable on a dealer-by-dealer basis. Sims now introduces mnemonic deferment with variable delay, and when received, automatic removals of delayed mnemonics for those troublesome and time-demanding projects that continually flood central stations. Sims has also added a global code for contacts to screen out unwanted holiday calls. Let's take a few moments now and take a closer look at these new capabilities. First, we'll take a quick look at the different fields that are going to have a bearing on what we will be speaking about. There is the On Test field located in the subscriber options. Here, previously, we could just answer yes or no and place an account in cancel status rather than putting it on test from the traffic display. You'll also notice the addition of the alternate backup account field, allowing the three-panel association between the base panel, Tequila Willie's in this case, a backup account, which could be a radio, and an alternate backup account, which could be a DVAC or some other wireless type device. Also, fields necessary in this notification are the primary and alternate email addresses that are located in the mailing service charges pages. You'll see in this case for email address number 1, I've got account email number 1 and account email number 2. Now, let's come back to page 1 and take a quick look at the On Test capability. Instead of just having the ability to place the account on cancel status or on test, we now can put a number 1 through number 6 in there, which will allow the signals that are received by this account to be emailed to the first dealer address, the second dealer address, both dealer addresses, or the same for the account email addresses. This will allow us to place an account on test and have the signals emailed directly to the technician in the field. Going from there, we'll stop by the alternate backup field. Here, once we put an account number here, and we go to complete accounts, place them on tests, or other associated events, we're going to get that notification that there's a backup account to be considered, especially when placing accounts out of test. On the account maintenance zone page, we'll come down here to zone 00, our test zone, and we'll move through here till we get to the email account and email dealer fields. In this particular case, I can nominate this zone to be emailed to the first client's email address or second client's email address. This can be very valuable when you're picking out specific user openings or user closings to where you want some notification being sent automatically to a third party. Also, we can nominate this zone to be going to the dealer's primary or secondary email address. This can be very valuable when receiving in low power or low battery signals, whereas instead of the central station actually calling the dealer and then notifying him of a low battery, we may nominate that particular signal to be emailed directly to the dealer, thereby removing this from one of the events the operators have to deal with. Also, instead of nominating a schedule to modify a mnemonic, as we have done in the past, let's say we have an account that's open from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday, and when that signal comes in, we want to change that mnemonic to something else. In the case of, let's say it was a safe, and during the time that the account is open Monday through Friday from 9 to 5, they're going to go in and out of this safe, and we're not really interested when they go in and out when the place is open or during their opening hours, but we do want to take a very dim view when this safe is opened up after hours. Instead of nominating a schedule as we had previously done, we can now do it a little bit differently and say Monday through Friday when the account is open, then modify the mnemonic to something else. So this is zone message conversion when open only. This is an AND situation along with the days of the week. So you may nominate it to be changed, that mnemonic changed to something else Monday through Friday, but if they open up on Saturday and Sunday, then we don't want to change the mnemonic. We want to leave it to what it was. So it's an AND function. And of course, if you've used this feature before, you know that it could be a burglary, but we're going to change it to just simply a message whenever it happens outside or within the parameters, I should say, of what we're dealing with. On the contacts page, we've added a new one here. And of course, everybody is familiar, or if you're a current user, you're familiar with the fact that you can nominate people to be called on certain days of the week between certain hours. However, now we've added a global code that will allow you to nominate a global schedule also to be merged in. For example, this account only wants to be called, well, this particular one here is Monday through Sunday, but let's just say he's Monday through Friday. However, if a global code, this is the 7th global code when you're looking up your global code schedules, if I get a match with that 7th code, I'm going to bring in a global schedule so that at that point, if we said on Christmas, this account is to be closed, or this schedule, this global schedule is for Christmas, this person would not be called on Christmas, even though it might be Monday through Friday. We've added another nice little feature within the schedules, or a modification, I might say. This particular account is allowed to close early. That means it will autolog any close earlies, but previous to this, that mnemonic was changed from ECL over to CLO, actually modifying the mnemonic, and then when you went back and looked at the reports, it looked like a normal closing. Well, what we've done is we've allowed you to keep the ECL mnemonic, the early closing mnemonic, but we're just going to autolog it if this flag is set to allow close earlies. So globally, you can say, I do not want to autolog early closings, but on this account, I will autolog an early closing. This capability will allow you to pull reports on your accounts of exceptions in the scheduling, so that if they open late, if they close early, if they close late, or if they open early, you'll get the type of event that you can go and pull reports on by mnemonic. And so you'll be able to identify to the customers, even though there's no operator action required, that they're opening and closing outside of their normal schedule. If we move on out to the account mailing and service charges pages, we also have another flag in here that is certainly worth stopping and taking a moment and take a quick look at. That flag is the dealer contacts. This is where we allow our dealer contacts to be first in the list. We can nominate this on a account by account basis, and in this particular case, even though I have Prem Verify first, I've got the other dealers set up in there, I can nominate the dealer contacts to come up first if this is a problem account, it's on suspension, all those kinds of things like that. Also, there are a few more flags in here we'll stop and take a quick mention of. The no description flag. If you're getting CL Level 3 in or DMP type accounts and we are writing the descriptions into history, this is an option of course you have, you may nominate to not write those into history on an account by account basis. System wide, you can choose to write the descriptions, but you can exclude them on an account by account basis so that what you actually write into your zone page will actually be what's seen on the reports. There is another very powerful flag in here, Restore ER. This is restoral on the contact ID E's and R's. There are many situations where we're transferring in under the contact ID, we're transferring in the area information, and because we have 7 characters available, the addition of the area information is an 8th character. So we've chosen to strip out the E's and the R's when they come in and they're passed through the system. This allows us to redirect areas to different accounts and all kinds of extra capabilities in there. However, inherently, the stripping out of the E and the R removes our ability to put actual modifiers on the restore side. In other words, if there's no E and R and a code 578 comes in, event code 578, that happens to be a bypass code. So I'm going to get the mnemonic bypass. However, there could be some panels where a 578, and this is especially true of overseas panels, to where they've nominated 578 to be something entirely different, like a test signal. In order to actually modify what the base purpose for that is, we're going to have to add back the E and the R. And this flag allows us to add that E and R back on an account by account basis. Let's take just a moment and back out of here and stop by the contact ID zone account. Excuse me for that. And you can see here I have an E100, but if I do not pass through the E and R, it'll be a 100 followed by a character identifying the area, followed by 3 characters of a user ID or zone number. This will take, that E and R flag will take that 100, remove out the area, and put back in the E and R, which will allow us then to do whatever we want with that signal. Okay, let's back out of here and go to one of our dealers, because we've done some very fancy things inside of the dealers. First of all, you'll notice that there are 2 email addresses inside of the dealer now. That's so we can email some of these signals to a primary email address and an alternate email address. And they're located on page 1, one above and below the other. Also here, we can go to the comments page, and here we've added some new things over here. I'll just move my cursor over here and we'll come out of this. There is a history routing flag now and a database routing flag. These are simply flags that you use for sifting and form writer. They have no huge bearing there. But beneath there is a forced ordered contacts field. This is a very, very important field that allows us to force the operator to call contacts in order. And it will then stop them from bouncing around on our contacts. There are some dealers that will put certain criteria on our central station that will say, you must call the first person, the second person, the third person in order, in exactly that order. This flag will force your operators to call them in that exact order. Below that is a very interesting addition. This is called dealer delays. We alluded to this back in the beginning or introduction to what's new, in that I can nominate, in this case, an LBT mnemonic to be put away for 300 seconds. That's 5 minutes. And if during that time I get an LBR, low battery restoral, that event never sees the traffic display at all. This is a very, very nice feature when we're dealing with problem times, large system outages, and things like that. I can go in here and nominate, and by the way, this is dealer by dealer. I can nominate to put these signals away for a certain period of time before they ever try to get to the traffic display. And if they're satisfied, in this case, the low battery trouble is satisfied by a low battery restore, that signal never goes to the traffic, it's never seen by the operator, and appears in the history as an L-T, and then you'll see the L battery restore in the history also. That's your way to know that it's actually been received in. The dash indicates it's been received and put away on what we technically refer to as the FIFO. And then the restorer comes in, removes it, never sees the light of day as far as operators are going. I've put a couple of other examples. There is the ability to put 8 different sequences in here. This is a low power trouble. It's put away for 1800 seconds, 30 minutes. And then a low power restore comes in, and it'll actually remove that out of there. No operator action is required. LTC, which is probably may or may not be something you put in here. An LTC is put away for 5 minutes. Closing come in, removes it. Those of you out there probably are familiar that the LTC, although it hits the traffic display, can be removed from the traffic display by a closing. This sort of circumvents the fact that it doesn't even hit the traffic display, keeps the amount of signals that our operators are actually having to deal with down quite a bit. Hopefully we can get this thing where it removes a certain percentage. Let's say if we could knock off 30% of the signals that the operators are actually handling, that's a big advantage, and it will help reduce the number of operators that are required during certain periods and so forth. Now, a lot of you may get involved in this type of setup where it's put away. A supervisory signal might be put away for 1800, 30 minutes, and then a restoral. You may have to focus that down a little bit more. You may use SPV for supervisory, SPV1 for a certain type of supervisory, and you may nominate the RS1 or RSA for a certain type of restoral on certain signals. That lets you take certain signals, especially in the contact ID area, where these panels have the ability to send in so many signals, and then put them away so the operators don't have to deal with them. Also, within the dealer is another nice area. Enable account number ranges. A lot of us have taken and put it in blank accounts in certain ranges just to mark these accounts and let them know that they're set aside for a certain dealer. If we enable account number ranges, I can put in an account number range, and only that dealer or that dealer's signals will, or accounts, will only be allowed within those ranges. Now, this is an exclusive capability. In other words, I'm going to nominate, in this case, let's say I nominated that it would go from account number 1 to account number 10. Okay, that will not lock everyone else in the world out from those unless I use this capability for all accounts. But what it will do is keep any accounts that are within this dealer within that range. Now, the reason we have 5 different ranges there is obviously so we can take care of digitals and radios and DVACs and Europlexes and so forth like that, so we can cover several different categories for this particular dealer. Okay, now we can get out of this dealer, and I want to take you over and show you a couple new flags that we've added inside of the global system options. First of all, if you want to use that dealer mnemonic delay, you must enable it in the global system options, and that's done down here at the bottom. This is a system-wide enable, and then they must be entered for each dealer. So even though I say yes for global, if there are no mnemonics in the dealers, then nothing will be put away on delay. But we just felt for safety's sake we'd have put a global switch. So if you answer yes in here, then I'm going to assume that you're going to use this capability, and you will do the follow-through to make sure that the data is correct inside the dealer. Also, PCI digiboards are becoming more and more popular. We've done a lot of experimentation out in the field and watched these new PCI cards being installed. So now we've put a switch in there that enables the PCI polling. PCI cards inside of Windows 98 don't, any PCI card doesn't create an interrupt that a DOS program like the SIMS2 can actually monitor. So therefore we have to do it in the polling mode, which is frankly the way that most automation packages do their serial inputting from. So we're going to enable that PCI polling, so whenever a clock interrupt is generated, it will then go out and take a look at all of the different serial ports coming in. There are 18 clock interrupts per second, so we have a really good cycle there to doing that. PCI cards are identified as all those cards that have above an 8,000 I/O range, so that's important to know that. If you consult with the receiver settings videos, there's a lot more information about that as far as doing the PCI. You may also begin looking pretty soon for a video on how to set up a PCI card on a Windows 98. And now I am saying specifically Windows 98 because Windows 2000 and Windows XP do not allow for DOS programs to work directly with the serial ports. They use virtual porting, and therefore there is no capability beyond COM1 and COM2. So COM3 and above cannot work directly. There is virtual porting there, and there's no way to talk directly to those ports. There's currently a SIMS for Windows type interface for receivers being developed. It should be out late this year. Okay. We'll take one more minute before we can wrap up this What's New for right now. And that is, we've created a new entry. For those of you that use a set command on your different workstations, you know that the set sims equals WS01 will cause this to appear up in the upper left hand corner of your SIMS display. What we've done is we've taken that capability, that WS01 up there, and placed it to the right of the open close status within the all events detail. This will let you know physically what terminal that your operator was at. That is only active if you turn on the switch, write history events, write the historical descriptions to history. That's an option under Charlie, Sam, Dog, Charlie, Global Options 1. And if that's turned on, then this will start writing into your all events detail. This will have some effect more for some than others. You'll also notice on my example here that my login capability is put over here to the right of the system description. That is done to identify those events that are manually created. So it's also an important capability. Now, I'd like to take this time to thank you for reviewing our What's New video, and look for further updates on this. We'll be putting these up here from time to time. It's our way of letting you know in a visual type way what you can look for and how to utilize some of the newer features within the Sims 2.